My name is Tim Schaefer. I'm the owner of Oasis Pumps and Manufacturing Company. And this is my cousin Joe, and he's going to be my assistant in installing this deep well system today. The first thing we have, I want to show you what a deep well kit would be. It comes with 3 pieces, which is the cylinder, which is made out of 1/2 inch or 2-inch schedule 80 PVC, and you got a check valve here at the bottom. And then you have a brass cylinder, which will go inside of that. And this is what you would call an open cylinder because it can be installed in 2 pieces. First your 2-inch goes down, and then this goes down last. And this is the other part of the kit, which is the pump. And it's got a connection here on the bottom for it to fit in the 1/2 inch schedule 80, which I use as my pump rod. So we are going to start with our installation now. All right. Pull that cylinder up if you want. Let me have that board. We have this board right here that I make, and you can make them at home too. Just cut a 2-inch hole with a U in it. And what I use this so I can set this down on each one of these, and that will hold that down instead of someone having to hold all the heavy pipe. This will hold that and will not come off as long as you got a coupler there. And this here is my cylinder, which I use a 1/2 inch, not 1/2 inch, but a 3/8 nylon rope. And I've used that nylon rope for my safety precautions, which I hose clamp this right here at every 10 feet. Just in case you happen to drop this thing down the hole, you can pull this back up with the rope. I've seen a lot of people trying to fish these things out of their wells once they drop them. So it's best to use this rope just for safety precautions. Our first thing we're going to do, we're going to glue this pipe in here. And as we're doing this installation, we're going to glue a couple of these pipes together. And since this well is 100 feet, it's going to take a while for each joint to dry. So we're going to do a couple of these fittings, show you how we do it, and then we'll probably cut the camera off and go ahead and finish the installation. And then at the end, we will show you the last piece and mounting it on the well cap, and so it won't take up so much time. I like installing this. Once I put the pipe in, I turn it just a little bit and then let it set for 3 or 4 minutes for that there glue to dry. Okay, we'll just wait till it dries then, bro. We got the first joint in and it's dry. We're getting ready to do the second joint next. We use a PVC cleaner, which cleans both joints. This helps for the PVC glue to work properly to make that good connection. We like to glue both pieces, put some on the coupler and the pipe. Put it on. Push it down, turn it. And then the next thing we will do is put the hose clamps on. Hold that up. And I like to put that hose clamp above the glue joint. This way, if that happens to not be totally dry, it won't come apart as you're dropping this down the hole. Which usually 5 minutes of holding time is usually sufficient. That's nice and tight. We're going to wait a few minutes, let it dry, and we'll probably just come on back when we come and put the last joint on. So we'll see you here in a little bit. Okay, put your board in. Then I'm going to tie this thing off down here on this rope, right around this bottom of this pitless adapter right now. And then the next thing we have, we're going to put this cap and this piece of 2-inch Schedule 80 PVC that I had threaded at one end. Hold that one moment, Joe. This is a cap. I had this custom built. For one reason, I have a pitless adapter in here and another pump in this 6-inch well. So I had to have this cap made, and it's kind of set offset. And I had a 2-inch piece of a coupler welded in here. And then I screwed a nipple on here. And how that will work is we're going to screw this stub in here. As long as I don't get it cross-threaded, we're going to be just fine. Here, hold that one moment, Joe, so we can make sure we get that. I think it's one to cross-thread. Figures. It's still cross-threaded. This is the reason why you have an assistant. He can help you thread the pipe. Screw that in as far as we can. And then we're going to tighten her up. All right. That's tight. And then we're going to glue this stub onto that. A little cleaner. And then this gets pushed on there. I turn it to make sure it's got a nice seal. And we'll let that set up for about 10 minutes. And we'll come right back to it. And we got our cap set on place. Now we're going to lower the cap down. As you can see, I've got my rope coming out of a hole up here at the top with the wire that I'm using for my submersible pump. So we're going to get ready to lower this down. Okay, she's down in place, and that's all there is to putting the cap on. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to start lowering and putting our brass cylinder in place. Again, to let everybody know, these leather cups has graphite on them. Wash that graphite off. That way that will soak up the moisture and make these cups swell in that pipe. So we got to make sure they wash up. We are ready to do our first pipe. And we're going to lower that down. Now this is 1/2 inch Schedule 80 PVC. It stays hollow. Reason why I keep it hollow, no water gets in it. When you're pushed down on the handle, that air kind of helps float that PVC pipe back up. This stuff is really tough. I've had mine in my well since 1992 and never had a problem. So we're going to put our first joint on, and we do the same thing. As you can see, Joe vice gripped this down right here to hold that pipe. So that is just in case it slips, it won't go nowhere with that being right in its place. Of course, we had 100 feet of the 2-inch. We'll need 100 feet of this pipe here. Actually, we'll need 103 feet of this pipe here. You want a little bit more because of the cylinder. We're going to glue this on. Push it down. We'll twist it just a little bit and make sure it sits in place. We're going to let that dry, and then we're going to add another piece. We're going to keep adding on to this until we get to the last piece. So we'll be back with you momentarily. As we said how we had that laid out on the ground earlier, we have our mark where it needs to be. So when you're pushing that down, right there, I can feel it. It's not down all the way, but it's wanting to stop, and that's where it's starting to touch that gray cylinder. So you're going to have to move it around a little bit to get it to go all the way down. Now it's going to go all the way down, and it's going to touch the bottom. You can hit the bottom of that there gray tube. So we're going to put a mark on it, and then we're going to raise it up a foot because we want it right in the middle of that gray tube. So Joel's going to mark that here at 12 foot, 12 inches, I mean. And our mark is right where we had it laid out. He's going to vice grip that down. And now we're going to cut this here off. And these tools sometimes are smarter than we are. Try it here a minute. Well, so all we need is a broken gadget. There we go. So we're going to cut this off. Okay, it's cut off. Now, since we know we're in the middle of that, we're going to glue this on. And when this gets set down, it's going to be setting down at the very bottom of that tube. Make sure your handle is pulled all the way up. Clean that. And we're going to put this on here and let it set up for about 5 minutes. Okay, we're ready now to lower this pump down and screw it onto this nipple that's here. So and we got that rope right in our way. Let me move it over, go right ahead. A couple more turns, make it real tight. Okay, that looks good. All right, we got this thing on here and it's real tight. This installation is done. I will tell you right now, do not pump this thing. Wait at least a day or two before you pump it. You need to let those leather cups in that cylinder swell up into that cylinder for it to be able to grab a hold of the walls to bring that water up. Right now, it will not pump water until it swells up. This is the end of the video. Thank you and good luck.